Hi everyone. So welcome to our first presentation. Our first presentation is on 3 attempts and a solution. As you will be able to see as we go through the slides, that there's going to be a little icon on each bottom of the screen. And what happened was I made this presentation and I had done all of these kind of talking points for you guys in the hopes that when I put it on D2L, you would be able to just click on the icon and then you would hear what I had to say. Unfortunately, that's not the case. So what I've done is I've just recorded an entire video for you guys of the PowerPoint. And that way you can still hear what I'm going to be saying and the explanations. The only funny thing that you're going to hear, though, is as I click on each icon, you'll hear me say, go to the next slide as like an instruction. Only you don't need to do that because you are just watching a full video. Okay? So let's get started, and I hope you enjoy this recording and this video. And please, 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 if you can't hear very well, turn it up. If it's too loud, turn it down, okay? Let's get started. Okay, guys, so in this presentation, we are going to be looking at how to solve our problem when writing a narrative story. So before we left for spring break, we had been looking at the different ways we can write a problem, which we're going to go over. And in this lesson, we're going to learn the best way to solve the problem when writing our narrative story. So head over to the next slide, and we're going to have a quick chat there. So some of you guys might recognize this already. What is a main problem in a narrative story? And we kind of have already talked about this, but what I'd like to really focus on is the 5 important aspects that make a great problem when you're writing it. And that is actions, descriptions, thoughts, feelings, dialogue, and sound. Now remember, when we are writing our main problem, we must include all 5 of these components in order to really capture the attention of our audience. So the action, meaning that add those descriptive words and tell us what exactly your characters are doing. Description, don't shy away from detail. Detail is what creates that picture in your head. The thoughts and feelings of your characters so that we know how they're feeling to help us understand the position that they're in. Dialogue, well, of course, we'd love to hear some conversation. Maybe it's your character talking to themselves out loud, or maybe it's your character talking to another character in your story. And then, of course, we have sound. We know that sound can really help add what is going on in your story, and it can really help give some perspective to the situation your characters are in. Why don't we head over to the next slide for the next lesson? Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to read through this. Now, you can read with me or read on your own, but as you're reading through this passage, what I'd like you to do is try and point out in your head the action, the description, the thoughts and feelings, dialogue, and sound. Because this is a really great example of what a good problem looks like when it's written in a narrative story. So like I said, follow along with me and try and point out the 5 components that make up a good main problem. I took a deep breath, closed my eyes, and counted to 10. 1, 2, 3, I counted slowly. I held my breath as long as possible, and then I sneaked a peek. Taking one small step backwards, I slowly turned my body around and inched, walked away from the rocky outcropping. Pulling the canteen off my waist, I took a long, thirsty swig. There in front of me was a rattlesnake that stretched from one side of the path to the other. The markings on its back looked like brown diamonds enclosed in black bands. There was strips on the tail of the rattler. It stood straight up. The viper raised its head, and I stared at its forked tongue. My heart began to race, and my mind was a jumble. Thank goodness I had worn my sturdy hiking boots and long pants, I thought. If I stand like a statue and hold my breath, maybe it will just move on. Sweat dripped down my face. My hands were shaking. Do not startle the rattlesnake, as it can strike at a speed faster than the human eye can see, I muttered out loud. I'm not moving, I promise. The hissing and the buzzing sound persisted, and I realized the snake was warning me to stay away. So as I read through this, I hope you could point or pick out some action words, some description, some thoughts and feelings and dialogue and sound, and really take note that these 5 components really help create a main problem. So let's head into the next slide, because now that we know how to create a strong main problem for a narrative story, we're going to try and figure out how to come up with the solution. So now that we have finished writing our main problem of our narrative story, we have to head into the next phase. Remember, the main problem is our climax. It's at the top of our story arc. It's at the top of our story mountain. And now we need to fix our problem. So what we're going to do is we're going to work on our falling action. And the falling action is when we fix our problem. So in order to do that, we first need to understand what an attempt is. Well, what is an attempt? It's defined as to make an effort to complete something or try to fix something. So an attempt is when we try to change or fix something that maybe we couldn't do before. So if you look over at our picture with the bows, you can tell that whoever was shooting the arrows, they did it quite a few times. They kept on doing it until they were successful of getting a bow on the target. So we call all of those bows that were shot that are stuck in the ground, we call those attempts. So something that you have done, maybe not have completed. So here's a question for you. Have you ever made an attempt to complete something or fix something? When you think about sports and shooting the ball into the net, you don't get it into the net 100% of the time. You attempt to get it in, right? So it's something that we are working on. Does an attempt mean that you were successful at completing it? Not all the time, right? An attempt means it's something that happens over and over and over and over again until the job is complete. So when we're thinking about that, when we're thinking about writing our attempts in our narrative story to solve our main problem, we are going to write 3 attempts. No more, no less. We want 3 attempts. So let's head to the next slide to see what that looks like. You grab a stack of napkins. So, what is an attempt to a problem? Well, let me give you a problem. Let me give you an attempt, and let's see if you can understand. Here is your problem. You have spilled Coke all over the floor, and you need to clean it up. Now, I know that this is a problem that many of you guys have had before, myself included. So let's attempt to fix the problem. You grab a stack of napkins, but run out of napkins before all the Coke is cleaned up. So, is the job complete? No. Is the problem solved? No, it's not. Did we make an attempt to fix or solve this problem? Yes, we did. Were we successful? No, we are not. So now we need to make another attempt. I want you to see if you can come up with the next attempt. Click to the next slide so you can see my example for the 3 attempts to solve this problem. So, here are my 3 examples of my 3 attempts that I came up with to our problem, and let's go over them together. You have spilled Coke all over the floor and you need to clean it up. Your first attempt. You grab a stack of napkins but run out of napkins before all the Coke is cleaned up. So have we solved the problem? No, we haven't. So what do you do next? Well, the next thing I'm going to do, my next attempt, is you grab the cloth from the sink, but just as you bend down to wipe the last of the Coke up, you notice how smelly the cloth is and you have to throw it away. Did I finish cleaning up my Coke? No. So is my problem solved? Nope. So I need to do another attempt. My third attempt is you grab the mop from the closet and wipe up the remainder of the Coke that was on the floor. Is your problem solved? Yes, it is. So my last attempt led to my solution. I have successfully solved my problem. Head to the next slide for your next instructions. Okay, guys, so here's what I would like you to do. It says at the top, come up with 3 attempts to solve this problem. So here's your problem. You are walking to the store but get lost along your way. So what I want you to do is I want you to come up with 3 attempts to solve this problem. The solution ultimately should be, how are you going to find your way to the store? So what are some things that you can do when you get lost? So for example, you are walking to the store but you get lost along your way. So you stop and ask somebody for help, but they don't speak English. Oh my gosh, that is a perfect example of an attempt to solve your problem. So I want you to go onto D2L and click on the link that says 3 attempts. It should be in blue. Once you have hit that link, it should take you to the page where if you scroll down, it says ePortfolio Reflection. Click on that reflection, and I want you to title this as Problem 1, and please make sure that you include the date, okay? Once you have done that, you're going to write your 3 attempts to this problem in the reflection. Once you have done that, then you can submit your answers. Remember that 1 and 2, your attempts 1 and 2, you don't solve the problem. You have to attempt again. But by your 3rd attempt, you should have solved the problem. Okay? So go on to D2L and give that a try. Can't wait to see what you have written.